Hey, everybody, welcome into the building. Happy Saturday, okay? Happy Saturday, and we're here for trending topics. And it is an express train, okay? It is an express train because I am going to have a hard stop at the very least, at 8 o'clock. I'm shooting for 7:45 because y'all know I watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, and it comes on tonight at 8 o'clock. Now listen, we got a quick announcements to make. And the reason why we got some quick announcements is because Friday Night Train got derailed. It got derailed. It went off the rails, okay? Off the rails. And so I got a few messages that I laughed at. And for the first time ever, I will tell you the facts and I will tell you the truth, okay? For the first time ever, I'm not a comment deleter. I don't delete comments, right? Oh, but yesterday I did because people was going off the rails, off the rack. It was just crazy, right? And that's why today is GVO, good vibes only. Good vibes only. GVO. Oh, went off the rails yesterday. Right. Come on now, Sasuke. There will be no bashing, disrespect of the owner of this channel. There are others on the panel in this chat. Sasuke, come on, I love you. Thank you for that. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm gonna just address two things really quickly. Then I want to bring, my producer, my moderator up in the building to say a couple words. I want to just say two things. People love to say I cut people off. And they wanted me to go back and watch my videos and how much I cut people off. Well, I ain't doing that. Ain't happening. Negative. And you want to know why I'm going to say that? Because literally, if I didn't stop some people, we would be here for 10 hours straight. And that's a point blank in a period. And let me say this also. If when I interrupt, I always say, give me a minute. I'm gonna let you finish. I add into it, I interject, right? And then somebody said, well, maybe I shouldn't have a panel. No, no. Because of one crazy night, we ain't gonna revamp things. It ain't that serious. I do not give up that easy. It was one night. We family. Okay, the family has spoken. We had a behind the scenes meeting. Okay, and all is well. Because when I tell y'all, Ladam, Sweet Tea, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Deep, I'm buying you some Starbucks because yes, there was a humdinger. Humdinger. Child, it was. But I'm going to say, I got to add this in there really quickly too. Like, there are a lot of people that consistently come on the platform that I physically speak to outside of YouTube, right? And let me tell you something right now. Few of them called me last night. And what I love about the people that deal with me, you can give it to me straight up. You don't got to sugarcoat it. Don't mix it with no, give it to me straight up. Give it to me straight up. And that's what they did, okay? And one, I love her to death, said Diva, didn't call me by my government name, because know my government name. Yes, she did. And all I can say to y'all is there was a family meeting and all is well and everything's good. Give me 1 second. Robin, you're in the building. Hey,
how you doing?
I'm doing well. What would you like to say something to the people?
Oh, well, I spoke to you last night, and I also sent you an email.
Yes.
Because I wasn't sure that I got all my points. If I can pull it up, can I just read a couple of things from that?
Yes, you can.
Would
Of
that
course
be
you can.
okay?
Yes, it is.
Give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up now. Okay. I'm just going to extrapolate. Dear Diva, last night's live was uncharacteristic. The train didn't shake, it derailed. We talk about the train shaking all the time, but we were approaching Hindenburg status. I commend you for not prolonging the agony for all of us and ending the broadcast when you did, no matter that it was abrupt. Everyone needed to breathe, take space, and regroup. As a moderator, I always post the following, and I wrote some of the things. Welcome to the Diva Train ride. You'll see it's what my first post after saying I was here. Welcome. We welcome lively, respectful discussion. Remember, we catch the train. We don't catch feelings. I found it uncharacteristic for you to be accused of disliking public personalities we discuss. You always say that you don't know these people to like them or not. Interrupting and not letting others speak. You and I have spoken about this before. If anyone reviewed the videos, they would see that you say, Robin, I'm gonna let you finish, but let me say this. You have your say, and then you'll invite me back to resume my argument, not accepting or allowing other views that don't align with yours. You often say that you're open to and you invite others to convince you to see things their way. But if there's no meeting of the minds, you conclude that we can agree to disagree. Hosting a channel is challenging, and I think you do a great job. And I find you to be fair. I was surprised that a lot of the comments in the chat, many of them were rude and insulting. I was struck by the unsolicited advice you get to alter your panel. Not enough people know that you don't ban, put on pause, or deny a seat so long as they're backstage when you go live and you fill all your slots. You have shared with me that you get emails urging you not to let people on your panel, but you continue to maintain that you aren't in the business of stacking the panel and that you won't stop anyone from participating, regardless of their known positions, attitude, behaviors, or comportment. I look forward to participating in training topics, whether it be as a subscriber, moderator, or panelist. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss, banter, debate, laugh, and kiki about so many different things. Your channel is unique in that your content isn't solely driven by the reality based so called reality television genre. I plan on riding the train with you until trains become extinct. Love, Robin.
Thank you, Robin. Love
Thank
you
you.
much. All
Love you.
right. Sebastian, it's all good now. We're all better now. If everybody could just mute, I'm hearing a little bit of background noise. So that with that being said, yeah, yesterday I messed up a little bit. Okay. I said y'all don't have to buckle your seatbelt. Well, that was I messed up a little bit with that, but it's okay. All right. So guess what, people? Just in case, buckle your seatbelt, okay? Buckle your seatbelt. Carol, thank you so much for becoming a member. I truly appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone that's coming here. So again, I will just say this for those that I guess don't know me, don't know how I operate, whatever the case may be. I'm going to say what I got to say. That's it, and that's all. When I ask you, okay, so when I ask you to give me a minute, because I gotta say something, and you keep speaking over me, it's not gonna work, right? And at least I'm respectful. I know other content creators, they'll just kick you out. Then you won't be able to say nothing. But we're gonna carry on.
Can I say something, David?
Give me 1 second, Dustin, because the train is about to pull out the building. We got 2 subjects, and I really want to get into them. Yes, Dustin.
I just wanted to say, David, that last night was very emotional for me because I felt like I felt bad for you, and I was hoping that you was okay. Last night was very emotional, and I actually cried after we got off the live because it was really upsetting to me what happened last night. And I want to let you know that David, I'll always be here for you. So if you need me, just give me a call or give me a message on Instagram. Last night was really upsetting to me, and I like to move on from now on.
We will, Dustin. And listen, you can always message me on Instagram too. We'll make sure that we connect because let me say this. I wish I knew because I would have told you rest easy. Rest easy. Because even if I get emotional in that minute, I usually pull it together before I close my eyes and go to sleep. But Dustin, I appreciate you. Thank you for always riding the train with me, and we will always be good. Now we're going to get into these stories, people. Okay, GVO, goodbye, Zoni. Now, just because I had this message, I want y'all to know this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, because I tell you this all the time. Stand your ground, because I'm going to stand mine. And that's a point blank in a period. So let's go ahead and get into these stories really quickly. And the first one is kind of like an update story. Do you remember the young lady? We did it on the trending topics. The young lady who was accused of shoplifting. The cops came. When the cops came, everything went left. I mean, it went left. It went totally left. Everything went left. She was unalive. So what her lawyer is saying now is stop focusing on the shoplifting piece and focus on the piece that the cops just lost control. I'm going to share a screen and we're going to talk about this really quickly, because this is like a multi-layered situation and it's just a whole lot, right? I'm not going to show the video again of it happening to her because it's so sad. We'll just go into this story, or maybe I'll show a clip it. I don't know. Let me just think about it. So no justification, okay? So I don't want to Takaya, I hope I'm saying her name right, young family lawyer slams victim blaming of the pregnant mom, 21, who was pow-powed and unalive by cops outside of a Kruger, okay? The attorney representing the family of a pregnant woman who had been pow-powed and unalive by police outside of a Kruger store in Ohio has told the U.S. Sun her unaliving was unjustifiable. In exclusive comments to the U.S. Sun, Sean Walton, a lawyer with Walton and Brown LLC, has said 21-year-old Takaya Young didn't have to, be unalive, despite police claiming that she tried to run law enforcement over with her car before a police officer, pow-powed and unalived her. So Takaya, 21, is pictured with her 2 children. So she was pregnant with her 3rd child, right? She was pow-powed and unalived on August 24, 2023, outside of a Kruger store, okay, in Ohio. That is dumb. They literally pow-powed her through the windshield, okay, of her car that she was in. So police have said they received reports that Young was shoplifting inside the Kruger prior to an officer, pow-powing her after she refused to comply with their request to get out the vehicle. The image of the body cam video released by the township on Friday, September 1st, shows an officer pointing his gun at her moments before pow-powing her through the windshield. So Takaya Young was, pow-powed outside of the Kruger in Ohio, which is about 15 miles from Columbus on August 24, 2023. She had 2 kids, ages 3 and 6, and was pregnant with her 3rd child at the time. Her family attorney, Walton, told the U.S. Sun there should be more focus on the trained officer who swore an oath to protect and serve, and was entrusted with a license to kill, and violated that trust while failing to comply with his own departmental policies, rather than the young girl who failed to comply when unlawfully facing down the barrel of the gun. More people need to have courage to call this what it is publicly instead of using the shoplifting conversation. Prior to the pow-pow, police received a call that Young was shoplifting alcohol inside the grocery store. Upon leaving the store, Young got into the driver's seat of a Lexus parked in a handicapped parking spot outside the store. The car had no license plates. Body cam footage released by the police shows officers asking Young to get out of the car multiple times. In the video statement, the police chief, John Belford, said the woman put the car in gear and accelerated forward. The officer, who was directly in the path of an oncoming car, released one pow-pow through the front windshield. When Young drove the car directly at officer number 1, striking him, officer number 1 became a victim of attempted vehicle assault. Because Ms. Young is deceased, charges obviously cannot be filed, but under state law, the crime victim status of officer number 1 remains. When Ms. Young pulled away from officer number 2 while his hand and part of his arm was still in the driver's side window, officer number 2 became a victim of a misdemeanor assault, he added. Police broke the window of the Lexus and attempted to apply medical aid to Young after she was pow-powed. An emergency room doctor who happened to be in the area also reportedly stepped in to try to help until an ambulance arrived on the scene. Young was taken to the hospital, but she and the unborn baby unfortunately did not make it. 2 police officers was placed on administrative leave after Young was pow while the incident was being investigated. The family attorney Walton has said there was no evidence of a violent crime in this incident, and the police officer had no lawful reason to pow. Okay, when Officer Connor Grubb pulled his weapon in violation of departmental policy and in violation of national policing standards, and proceeded to point at her and yell, you yell, get the F out of the car. He was making clear his intent to use deadly force if she did not get the F out of the car, he said. His decision to pow her and claim she tried to run him over after observing her turn the steering wheel of the car as far away from him as possible, as she possibly could, before the vehicle began slowly moving, is unjustifiable, and any reasonable officer would agree. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is now investigating the incident, and the police department has released video footage of Young shopping inside the Kruger store before the pow. The released surveillance video from inside the state liquor store inside Kruger shows Miss Young putting several bottles of liquor into a bag she was carrying, Bedford said in a separate statement. This was a tragic situation for everyone, he said. We recognize that these videos will create more discussion and even anger by people who have passionate feelings for or against the officer's actions, but we simply complying with our promise of transparency and our obligation to release public records as required by state law. Okay, so it goes on a little bit more, but I think you'll kind of get the gist of it, right? So we're going to talk about this. I will say this because I believe the last time, we had this discussion, part of our discussion was the fact that there was some accusations of shoplifting. I understand the lawyer is saying move away from that and get into the fact that I think what many people said last time, excessive force was used. Robin, your thoughts?
Coming off of mute. Yeah. I'll pass on this one, Diva.
Yeah, understood. Savannah, your thoughts?
Oh boy, good evening, Diva. And panel. This is a hard one. I'm seeing where the police department is covering their tail by focusing more on the allegations of her shoplifting or using the vehicle as a as a means to I didn't know what words I could say. I'm trying to be very careful.
Yeah, I don't even know about you.
As a means to harm the second police officer that came up on the scene. At this point, reading up some on the story, I'm wondering why the Justice Department doesn't get involved. It's obvious there's an issue going on in Ohio. I was doing a study yesterday. I was reading on the 50 young children that are missing out of Cleveland, and that's not getting any news traction. And I hope that can become a story soon on this channel as well. But yeah, at this point, I'm believing that the Justice Department needs to get involved because there's obviously an issue not only with this police department, but I want to say within a lot of this community as well as surrounding communities, there seems to be a leverage on, and I'm trying to recall that recent one where the Justice Department came in and overtook the whole police department there, and there was findings that there was mass injustice against minorities, and I believe that happened in Michigan. I think we had the same case with this story as well. So my heart goes out to them, but just to be very careful, I'll go ahead and pass on the story.
Right. Yeah. I'm coming to you, Felicia. So yeah, they are. Sherry, they was doing way too much for a shoplifting case. And again, I'm not going to focus on this. I'm throwing this out there as informational. what words to use? It gets even messier, right? Because the car had no license plates. It gets even messier because you're sitting in the handicap spot. It's just a mess all the way around. And I will say this, like one time, and I honestly don't see how this was like a big deal. I don't, and I guess I do. But my girlfriend one time pulled into a handicap spot, didn't get out, wasn't planning to get out. Like she just was pulling in to do something and she got a ticket. It Anywho, that's a mess. And I'm like, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, how did you was in the car? Like, I don't know. But Felicia, any thoughts on this story?
I'm good. Hey, everybody. Good evening. I remember this story. It's heartbreaking. That's my comment. I'm just going to refrain.
I know. I got you. And I totally understand because it's a lot. It's a lot. In case anyone did not remember, just really quickly, it's very sad. They definitely did too much. It was a mess. I don't know. I hope there's no commercial there. Let me see. Oh, it is. So,
When fall comes to Maine.
okay, I'll come back to it. So let me stop. Let me let the commercial run. Nikki, you're up.
I feel the same way I felt last time, which is there is nothing, at least that has been released, that suggested this young lady did anything violent. So I don't understand still why they would need a pow to resolve it. And it continues to be more of the same, when they don't get properly, what's the right word?
Are you saying trained?
No, well, training is a big part of it, but no, I'm saying the aftermath. It's always like
de-escalate.
No, it's sort of like they're not held accountable, is what I'm saying. The
Mm.
police officers, the law enforcement, because to me, when you use a pow on someone that's sitting in the car, and then at the end of the day, this person ultimately is no longer here, her and her unborn child. I just don't understand. To me, it takes a different level of evil and manipulation to know that you did all of this. And then for you to go back to your place of employment and then for them to spin it like, and it almost seems like it's always this way, but let's spin it as if the police officer had no other choice. And they absolutely had another choice. And so that's what, like, I feel like angers me because there's no accountability. And then once another news cycle happens, this will drift off into the mist, and they may be held accountable, but I feel like a lot of times they're held accountable just as much as like those, what do you call those people? The priests in the Catholic Church. They just move them to another parish. So I think a lot of times that happens with police officers. They just move them somewhere else. And it's sad because then it's like, how do we have faith in this system that people are always saying, well, we need to let it play out. We need to let the legal system do what it does. And time again, the legal system gets it wrong. And then they still stand, 10 toes down, and we're not going to change our mind. We're not going to apologize. We're not going to say we're wrong because they don't want to admit anything, because then people are going to there will be a reckoning,
Right.
So I don't want to go on and on. I just feel like it's unfortunate that this young lady is gone. Her children are now orphaned on some level. I don't know if, their father or whoever is in their life, but it's senseless. So that's how I feel.
Definitely senseless, and they could have blew out her tires. Where would she have gone? And you could have waited. She would have eventually had to come out, blow out her tires.
Right. Correct.
Pow, all 4 tires. Where's she gonna go? So there definitely was another way that this could have been handled. But yeah, it seems excessive force. And yeah, it has nothing to do with training. I think it has a lot to do with who the person is that they're pulling over. Because remember, on my channel here too, I show where wedding party,
The brawl.
whole fight with the police department, and nobody got tased, pow, none of that.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason, we had that whole movement for Black Lives Matter, because clearly we don't.
Coming back in service 1828.
Get out of the car. Then get out. No.
Get out. Get out. Get out of the car. Get out of
So do you see
the car.
that way?
Shots fired. Shots fired. Stop. Car. Stop. Stop. Damn car.
We're gonna have a 24 on the couple now. He's gonna be out.
Very sad. And so what they did was, the reason why they wanted that footage from the supermarket release, again, because they're trying to bring the focus back to what she was allegedly doing or not doing. Julius, what are your thoughts?
A life was lost at the end of the day.
Two.
At that.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. That should over some shoplifting. Come on, no. I remember that story, and originally my original stance was I was more on the law enforcement side, but the whole statement, and it's like, I understand we supposed to follow commands and stuff like that, but no, they was wrong.
Yeah.
Period.
It's very sad. It's extremely sad. Julius, thank you. Dustin, your thoughts?
After this, David, my thoughts are with the family that lost the two family members. I hope they get justice, and that's very sad. And I hope that the policemen get fired and they get an investigation and see what they need to do. I hope they don't get allowed back on the field.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very sad, and it's very uncalled for, in my opinion. They should have done it in a different way than what they did. And that's gonna be what I'm gonna say. And if anybody else don't agree, that's okay.
Thank you, Dustin. Adele, you're up.
My condolences go to her children and her extended family. This is a tough one. Like to the point, I feel it in my gut, and it just feels like a life loss for no specific reason. I do understand that she did something wrong in the beginning, but this didn't. It didn't require the energy that it got, like equal energy. And I do understand that she set up the situation where, she obviously put in the handicap parking because it was easy escape. It's usually the closest parking to the store, all of those type of things. So it's kind of like that idea of like, this is my getaway. That being said, we have a culture now where it's like, and this is where I don't necessarily agree with what you said, because I think that maybe some places have good training, but some places don't. The cultures are different in a lot of different areas. So in the situation that you were talking about, I think that was true. They were trained, but were they trained in this situation? Because there's so much more they could do. You talked about shooting the tires, all of these things to disable her. They have stun guns. They have this, they have that. Like, where were all those different choices before you decided that this is the one that you need to make? She could have saw her whole life flash before her eyes, her kids being alone, all of these things. And in the end, like, if you're from a certain place, you're going to think that you're not going to get a fair trial. You can't going through jail, and what's going to be this, what's going to be that. And those kind of things make some people run. And, there has to be things put in place to say, okay, if this happens, then, you do this, because there's so many people out there. They do nothing, completely innocent, forget about her situation. And they run because they know that the justice may not be there for them, whether they're innocent or not. And you ask them, why do they run? And they'll say, I don't know. But they run because they're scared. They run because they don't believe that they'll be protected, and that's the scary part of the situation. And the even more scary part is there's a culture that's a so-called blue culture that supports the idea that I'm going to the officers will be protected even when they're wrong. And those are things that needs to be changed collaboratively. Like it's so tough to talk about this because there's certain things that you want to say, but for me, I'm just leaning on God because that's where the solution lies. We have to come from that place of love, understanding that, you know, at the end of the day, there's a bigger thing at hand here. And it's not going to just, it's not going to just take material things to change it. It's going to be almost spiritual undoing and doing to really dig deep into this like disgusting way that things are right now. And I really just pray for her and her family, especially those two kids that's left behind. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, I appreciate it. Sebastian, you're up.
This story is very sad. I don't think she deserved to be unalived. It's crazy. But I will say this though. The cops, I don't think these cops are efficiently trained. I don't think some of these cops are not efficiently trained. Even when people mention the wedding brawl, those cops are not trained for de-escalation in the wedding brawl situation. And in this case, I don't think these cops were trained enough to know how to prevent a shoplifter from going away. So they resort to having that as the first, using the weapon as the way of stopping everything. But clearly it's not, it does, but it will lead you into legal issues. I do think that this is what should have happened. The store clearly made a big mistake. You cannot let a shoplifter leave the store. Because there is something called asset protection. Stores have, supermarkets have. I'm shocked Kroger did not have that. A lot of supermarkets have people who wear plain clothes standing by the doors, especially for shoplifters. This is crazy. I hope the officers are punished how they should be, legal, what the law says they will get. But I don't agree with what the attorney said, that we have to look back, we have to forget the shoplifting part and just look at the fact that she was unalive. Things have consequences. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And certain consequences may lead to your life not being here anymore if you do certain things. And especially with our tone, there are certain things that we cannot manage to do and think we're going to get by with. This is in our country, we cannot do certain things and think that we're going to get by with it. Trust me, if I ever did something like that, I would succumb to the police, because I know my parents would have beat my behind the harshest way ever. I would probably be safer with the police than my parents, because my parents they would bait me, Diva. I would practically be unalived if I ever did something like that. I don't think that she deserved to be unalived. I'm not saying that. I hope no one takes it as that. But what I am saying is there are consequences to what we do, and especially when you are a certain tone, there are those consequences may lead to unaliving. So we have to take precautions, and we cannot manage to do this. And I understand she was pregnant. She probably needed food for herself and stuff. Well, there are food pantries churches do. There are so many other things you could have gone to, but this is what happened. Everyone's asking, did I get flood in my place? No, I did not. I'm not currently on Long Island at the moment, but thanks for asking.
He's in a secret location. I'm just messing with you. So here's the thing. And this is a whole nother conversation we can have. A lot of times stores, they first of all, some stores have to be begged by the public, what do you call it? The politicians in that area to even come to that town. Okay, so there's some politicians that will beg, like a Macy's, a Banana Republic, before they closed the Bed Bath and Beyond. They will beg them to come to the inner city. And a lot of times they have to beg them because of, we got to keep it 100, because of this shoplifting situation. There are tons of Targets, and y'all could Google this article. This is all recent, where they're like, Targets, a Starbucks, they're simply shutting down the stores in these certain areas because they just can't even keep up with the theft anymore. But I just wanted to throw that out there. And I will say this. I know they said don't deal with it, but it's part of the story. And they released the video of her semen appearing like, because listen, now with, sometimes with one, we got to bring our own bags, which I think is a joke, but that's a whole nother story in and of itself. You got to bring your own bags. I've seen a lot of people where since they have to bring their own bags into the store, they use their bag as a shopping basket. Okay. They use their bag as a shopping basket. But they do go pay at the end, right? So it appears like she's putting bottles in the bag, and then they say she took them. It is what it is. We'll see a little bit of this video. It's no sound. That's allegedly her. I would probably be sad to see this as a family, just because my loved one is no longer here. But they said out of fairness, they released the video. It's a lot of alcohol. That guy probably might have been the one that told you. See how he's looking? Allegedly, the two other girls were with her, allegedly. Oh my God. Mm. We've seen enough.
I thought this was a Kroger, not a liquor store.
I think they were all connected. Like it was connected. There are some supermarkets that have the liquor store connected to it. In Jersey, I want to say the Wegmans has like a connected liquor store to it. There are some farmer markets I go to where it's all one building, but then there's a separate part that has a liquor store connected to it. I don't know, Robin, of any ShopRites in Jersey by me that have a liquor store connected to it, but there is a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of, it wasn't like one bottle, it was a lot of
It still doesn't
alcohol.
justify her analyzing. It still doesn't justify.
Huh?
We didn't see the end of the footage. Did she leave without paying?
Right. I don't know what happened to like the video there. Right. But I'm just, I'm not even, like I said, Yeah, we don't know. Like I said, they saw her putting it in the bag, but does that mean that
No, it doesn't. Because
right.
I go to my neighborhood supermarket, and because of that whole bag business, I put something in maybe the little fold up Target bag. I throw something in my tote. I do this, I do that. And when I get to the register, I pay for everything.
Right.
So I don't know what was going on in there.
Right. In either way, the whole thing is unfortunate, and she had a basket, but whatever. We'll move forward. Yeah.
It still doesn't justify her unaliving. It still doesn't justify her
Absolutely.
unaliving. But
Absolutely.
people are getting confused. There's a difference between consequences and punishment. A consequence is is a result of an action. A punishment is a form of action taken against someone who's done something. So in this case, I'm not going to say this was her punishment. She should have never been unalived, point blank, period. But what I'm saying is there's certain things that you do when you are a certain tone in this country that will lead to that. I'm sorry. It's just
your
the truth.
consequence should never be that, ever. That is
It
not
shouldn't, but we don't live in an ideal world.
What I'm
We don't live
saying
in an
is,
ideal society.
I understand that, but it shouldn't be. To me, it's a form of gaslighting for someone to say that this lady committed a petty crime allegedly, and as a result, her consequence is death. It's not okay to say. It's gaslighting. It's in some way taking away the responsibility of the law enforcement that are sent there to protect us, to serve us. That's what they
Well,
say,
I
protect
clearly
and
see that
serve.
these
So
law
when you
enforcement are not
say
trained.
things like this is her consequence, that should never be her consequence. And if it is, it's a consequence in certain states for that to be your consequence, the death penalty. So we handle that, like everyone always says, in the courthouse, not on the street. We don't give out the consequence on the street. That's why they supposedly are supposed to arrest you and then take you in and give you your chance to prove your innocence, so on and so forth. You can't come on in my opinion. I just think when you say things like that, I get that. Yes, legitimately and logically, what you're saying absolutely makes sense and it's true. But we should never be worried about the people who are supposed to protect and serve us maybe unaliving us because of an action. That is a reason you have a penal code. That is a reason that we have laws in this country, and the police are not above the laws, and we shouldn't give them no out, because at the end of the day, this person is gone. So her petty crime, it's resolved. It doesn't even matter. What matters is this person is not alive anymore. Period. So trying to go back and say, okay, well, this is what she did. It doesn't matter what she did. Her punishment or her consequence should never be that. And if it is that, again, it needs to be assigned in the court of law by a group of her peers, not by a person who's handling a weapon. Period.
I agree with you. I agree with you that she should have never been unalived. 100% she should have never been unalived. But what I'm saying as well is these police officers are clearly not trained. They don't know how to de-escalate. They resort to just using the pow pow. They don't think before they act. And this is why I'm going to say this. Everything you do, you should have 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead, because something could happen when you do crazy things.
Yeah. So here's the thing. And again, right, we all have our own words, and I'm about to come to you, Shan. My thing is, I feel that they are trained. I feel that if this was someone different that looked different, we probably wouldn't even be seeing this in the news right now. I feel just like that wedding party situation. If the wedding party looked different, it wouldn't have been a whole lot of fighting. So I just feel that, they handle certain people differently and more aggressively, point blank and period.
That's
And
true.
I
I
think
see that.
it was, no, I'm not, I'm connecting with you, Sebastian. So I really feel like I just don't get why you couldn't take the tires out. Just like when they unalive these people, I don't get why you aim to unalive. Why can't you aim for my legs? Because
I
either
can
way, I'm going to
answer
go
that.
down.
I can answer that, Diva. I asked my cousin about that, and he told me that in the academy they teach you to go for places that have in mass, the places where the bullet will most likely hit. And if you're aiming for the leg or the arm, you can miss it. Just one.
You can
miss. So you're always trained to hit near the chest, so you can hit somewhere. That's why.
Whew, that's sad. So, but in her case, because she was in the vehicle, you should have aimed for the tires.
Yep.
But this okay. So let me just say this, and then I'm coming to you, Shan. Of course, 100%, 100%, what happened to her was not justified. But I will also add this: once you was approached, I feel like there should have been a stop and not a curving and a trying to get away in the car. I'll just say that. And I'm saying that for the people out there that maybe find yourself in the same situation, stop. Because if you say whether you run or stay, the end result may be the same, but I would say stay. Because definitely if you run, it can get ugly. Shan, your thoughts? I don't know if you're there, Shan.
I'll come back because I'm in Chipotle and I know you won't be able to hear me.
Okay.
Like everybody and their mama is in here.
Get some brown rice with that. All right. So,
if I may, Diva, someone asked in the chat, why don't you shop with a basket? So when I go into the store, I'm speaking for me, not the panel, not the chat. I'm going in to get one thing. I moved around the store. I got 6 and the basket's on the other side. Period. Right. I figure my approach is I come in here at least 3-4 times a week. You got cameras everywhere, in the milk container, up under the protein, by the fish guy. You got cameras everywhere. You don't need to call the police to come and check my bag before I leave the store. Treat me with some respect. I'm not paying 25 cents for a bag every time I'm going to check out. And I'm not going to pick up that dirty basket to put my things in. I only went in there to get 2 things. Forgive me, I bought 6. And I put it in the bag and I completely put everything on the counter. That's why. I'm not saying this sister was right. I'm not saying her friends were in right. I'm saying, yes, they were breaking the law, but it was no reason. No reason, no real reason. No one even said they saw her with anything. For them to go and get in front of that vehicle and point that weapon at her head if she was going to pull out that car. I hate topics about law enforcement.
I know you do. I know you do. All right. I could not find, and I was digging and digging and digging. I cannot find any information about these other ladies. I can't. And I was digging and digging and digging. Royer, thank you for the super chat. If you committed no crime, why trying to run? Someone please answer. We ain't got time to answer, Royer. I love you though. Thank you for the super chat. I don't want to. I'm not trying to shake the train tonight because this could go off the rails. But this is a multi.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm coming to you.
I'm sorry.
I'm coming to you, Shan. This is a multi-layered situation, and it's a lot. Go ahead, Shan. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna be short because you said express train. The action didn't warrant the reaction, right? And yeah, I'm gonna just say that. That's it. Yeah. Rest in peace. That's very sad. It's a very sad situation.
What you're done.
Yeah. Thank you, Shan.
What did you say?
No, I said thank you. Give me a minute. So
I thought Adele was saying.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, Adele, really quickly because I want to move on to the next topic real quick, and I am running out of time. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think sometimes this is why sometimes some people feel like they're not heard. We're talking, but it's like we have to remember that sometimes 2 things can be true at the same time. Sometimes there's places that are trained and sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's okay to allow.
You muted yourself, and in addition to that, you was like going out. You still muted.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Yeah, I was saying, like, we have to remember that um, two things can be true at the same time. And it's okay for us to say that in some places there's training and there's others that there's not training. Because I've worked with the cops before, because I work with a lot of young offenders, and you get complaints after complaints after complaints. Yeah, they do things wrong, but a lot of times, whether it be fear that the police officers have, or they're trying to take dominance over, so in essence they don't get hurt, it's still not right. So there's some situations that they're not trained to deal with these people on the level that they need to. So what their whole mission is to keep control. And sometimes when they want to do that, they do the wrong things to get it done. It may be, it's like the end overdo the means, but at the same time, no, it doesn't. Your means may be breaking the person's rights. And what happens is, even though they commit a crime, they still have rights. So it's okay for us to allow to say that there's some people that are not trained properly, or maybe even ignore the training that they have. That's possible also, so that they can maybe not be hurt themselves. But the truth is, let's not allow some space for us to be able to say that there are different things happens in different situations. And for sure, we all don't know what it is, exactly it is. We're only giving our opinions, and it's okay for there to be multiple opinions on it. And let that be like, okay, so now what do we do from there to make sure that wherever they have good training, they become an example for the places that they don't have it. And whoever, like, even though these guys are committed, like I said it already, they commit crimes, they still have rights, and those rights need to be upheld. It's not okay to say that if she is committing a crime and she runs away because she's scared, then that means it's okay that no one's saying that. I didn't hear anyone say it's okay that she got shot, but it kind of sounds that way sometimes, because she did something wrong, then, it shouldn't have happened to her, but, she did something wrong, so I can see why it would happen. It sounds a little bit like you're giving something and then you're taking it back. That's how sometimes it comes across that way.
All right, everyone.
Am I making it?
Okay, everyone, I'm gonna move really quickly into the next story because I have minutes before we end. Okay, and we'll just tap into this topic. So, it's been 27 years since the unaliving of Tupac Shakur, right? And the guy, you know what? It's just dumb. How are you gonna be a dumb criminal? So the guy who they recently arrested, with connection with the unaliving of Tupac, he told on himself. So people from Sun Magazine kind of submitted the footage from when what is his name again? Dwayne Keefe, they call him Davis or whatever his darn name is, where he did an interview with Vlad TV and pretty much gave a whole rundown of what happened the night Tupac lost his life. In addition to that, he wrote a whole book. I mean, how dumb can you be? I don't understand it. So now they got him locked up.
When did he do this? Was it this year? I'm sorry.
He then wrote the book. Wait, I'm gonna go through it. Give me a minute because I'm gonna run through it. You're fine. You're fine. I'm gonna run through it really quickly. We're gonna get 60 seconds to say a little comment, and that's it. So Rap War Unaliving Gangsters stated there was a price on Tupac's head in secret hearing against the suspect Keefe D. Okay, so Tupac Shakur, unaliving suspect Keefe D, has been arrested after former East and West Coast gang members gave evidence at a secret grand jury hearing in Las Vegas, sources told The Sun. The grand jury was held behind closed doors to decide whether or not to prosecute Keefe, 60, over Tupac's unaliving, and jurors were given in-depth details of the gang wars that led up to the rapper's unaliving in September 1996, a law enforcement source stated. Okay, so this was 27 years ago. That was them in the car, and Tupac lost his life. He was in the car with Suge Knight. Okay, That is the guy who is now arrested and in connection with the unaliving of Tupac, because they said it was his pal that he handed to either his nephew or someone in the backseat of the Cadillac, and they took Tupac's life. Okay. Keefe D, real name Dwayne Davis, was arrested at the former East and West Coast gangsters gave evidence at a secret grand jury hearing in Las Vegas, sources told the U.S. Sun. Keefe was arrested and charged with, unaliving Tupac on Friday, 27 years after the hip hop legend was, pow down in Las Vegas by a drive-by, Compton gangster Keith P., real name Dwayne Davis, has made several public confessions. I mean, is he dumb, stupid, or bold? About his role in the unaliving in media interviews in his own book. The U.S. Sun first stated how a grand jury was being held to decide whether the district attorney had enough evidence to prosecute Keefe back in August, and sources said the former gangster could face a intimate murder charge. Okay. Now a law enforcement source has stated how former gangsters and police officers have given evidence against him. The district attorney and detectives have spent months talking to witnesses and informers to build an overarching picture of the entire circumstances leading to Tupac's assassination. The U.S. Sun found out. The beginning of the rift between the East Coast and West Coast rap communities played a key role in presenting to the jury what led to what happened to Tupac. Former gang members and members of law enforcement were contacted by Metro and have provided evidence and details on a person that the Crips and the Bloods became security for, the deferring record labels, and how there was a price or bounty put on the heads of Biggie, Tupac, and Suge Knight as matters escalated. The background was painted during grand jury seatings before the jury was presented, and Keefe's role in the situation. Listen, here's the thing. They raided his house. When they raided his house, they took the book he wrote. They took magazine clippings. They had computers. So this guy right here is absolutely out of his mind, okay? And so the Sun magazine, someone called them, gave them a clip of the interview that this guy did with Vlad TV, and they also submitted that as evidence to arrest him. That's when he got arrested, okay? This is him up there telling his story, thinking it was all cool, to say how he was in the car, he knows what happened, and all of this other stuff. We got 60 seconds. We're going to go around this room. Robin, any thoughts?
Yep, this guy was kind of a fool. He had gotten away with the ultimate crime, but he got in over his skis, got braggadocious. Apparently, he has some sort of trophy items that the authorities were able to retrieve from his home.
Yes.
The admission that he was even in the car made him an accessory to the crime. Mm-hmm. And the fool don't know you can even watch a cartoon and know there is no statute of limitations for the crime that he is charged with. Mm-hmm. The last thing I would like to say is that I didn't have any great faith that this would be come this far and there will be an arrest, because the rate of solving these kinds of crimes is mm-hmm. so terribly low. Mm-hmm. This gives me a little bit of hope, especially because we need justice for the people who are unalived that come from the Black community.
Absolutely. Can I add this to it, Robin? They said they knew all of this, but they just didn't have the evidence they needed to prosecute. But it was also said that they wasn't accepting evidence either. Like they kind of was being wishy-washy about it. But it was not until people said, okay, you need to do something, because here is him. This man is making a mockery of y'all. Because he's doing interviews and he wrote a whole book saying he was there. He was in the car.
I think that he also erroneously believed that his the immunity that he had was all encompassing.
Yes, he did get immunity. You're right. He did. He must have believed that. I think that's what it is, Robin, because he has spoke to the feds. I forgot what year it was. And they gave him immunity because he spoke to them about can I say drugs? Well, now I'm gonna say it. So it is out there. He spoke to them about, you know, a whole stuff they was trying to figure out on that, and he got immunity. So he must have thought it was all and yeah, he thought that he cannot be touched. Well, now he know what he didn't know. Savannah, your thoughts?
Wow, 3 decades later, this incident was a moment in time, and if you grew up during that era, you knew exactly where you were when that happened. And I can recall it to this day. The Tupac, definitely a pioneer, um, born before his time. I mean, I grew up in the East Coast, in Jersey, New York. So I remember during that time, how big he was as an influence, and the rivalry between the bad boy Death Row, and how toxic that was getting at that time. I think we're only getting half the story. Like, this big fool's been going around for years now, telling the story. I believe the alleged person behind the object was his nephew. But this was a story that the community already knew. It was just we were waiting for law enforcement to catch up, because we already knew that who the person was, who literally were involved. And I think we're still not done with this story. I think once they get some leads on what happened with Biggie, I think it's going to lie a lot more truth. And if I was, bad boy back at that time, if I was Puffy, I'd be a little nervous right now.
Oh, that's what a lot of people are saying. And all I can say to that is woo woo woo. Woo woo woo. Yeah. A lot of people are saying that he is the one that started the bounty.
Started the what?
The bounty. Because they said they had a hit on their head, so to speak. They said it was Tupac, Biggie, and Suge Knight. Nikki, really quickly, your thoughts?
I'm sorry.
Allegedly.
I had just put it down later in my mouth. Anyway, I just think criminals have a difficult time with keeping their crimes to themselves, and I'm grateful for it. And some people, I feel like they need to, especially the violent ones, I feel like they need to relive the event, or they want some sort of street credibility. I think it's also because it's kind of akin to like what we were talking about the other day with Nicki Minaj's husband and the idiots that were filming themselves threatening someone else's life on film and like publicly in a public place, and it's idiotic. But like I said, I'm grateful for this type of like egotistical stupidity and behavior, because now we can go and take all of the pieces, or the people that are prosecuting, or whatever the case may be, and use it against you. I just always do feel like you have to pay attention to what the law enforcement, what our Miranda rights says. It says remain quiet, otherwise we will, and let's just be very clear, we will use everything you say and do against you. And believe that at your employer too, because they're going to use everything they can when they're ready to fire you against you. So it's just like, pick your poison. Like, seriously, you know what I'm saying? Like, but thank God for the cell phones and the cameras that we have everywhere to capture these idiots being stupid. So I'm very grateful for it. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Julius, your thoughts?
I've had a very consistent opinion, even though I was 3.5 years old when Tupac, went on home, and I was 4 years old when Biggie went on home. But what I've come to know, as being someone who grew up on their music, I feel, and I believe someone say here, Puffy should be a little nervous. I believe both Puffy and Suge Knight should both be a little nervous. And the reason why I say that is, and I find it so hysterical how in the article they mentioned Suge Knight. I'm like, well, how would that dude know where Tupac was gonna be?
Like sitting, like in the car?
Right. And it's like, I feel like Suge Knight has something to do with Tupac being gone. And I feel like Puffy has something to do with Biggie being gone, because Biggie was gonna leave Bad Boy and run his own joint, and he had the talent to back it up. He was gonna leave Bad Boy, and so that's where the thought about where Puffy comes in, and yeah, more to it for sure.
Definitely messy. I'm trying to think. I don't know and don't remember. Did Suge Knight get hit with some of the Pow Pows?
But the only reason why I think that is because when the other, Pow Pow happened with Tupac in front of Biggie's studio, Biggie was running down there to defend his boy, Tupac. Believe it or not, even though like the East Coast, West Coast thing was going on, they were still homies.
No. No, I'm not talking about that though, but I'm talking about in this car. I'm gonna try to Google and see.
He got grazed.
He got okay, so he didn't get hit. Not really. Okay, Dustin, your thoughts?
I just want to say, I'm glad that justice is finally bringing back to the table, and rest in peace to Tupac Shakur.
Yeah. Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate you. Adele, your thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Let's stay with it. Oh, I was gonna say something else.
Okay, wait. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Dustin.
Oh.
Let's see what the rest of the trial brings. Like there's supposed to be some more news come out October 9th, and I can't wait to see what the trial brings.
Yeah. And what else evidence they have? Because they had that thing behind closed doors. Okay, they ain't want nobody to leak nothing. Adele, your thoughts?
I'm surprised that it lasted this long. That being said, it's just beyond words that they were. At the end of the day, they were all playing the game of gangster, and it could have been any of all of them that this happened to. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like Tupac's legacy and life, and I hate to put it this way, was put to real good use on the timing of his death, because he was so much more of an artist and talent than I think his energy and a lot of things that he was messed up with was taking him. Like, he's so smart, so deep. Like, when you really think about the stuff that he produced and the way that he expressed himself, I wish you could have saw that side of him more. And unfortunately, his life was taken, and I would love to think that it could have been better, but I hope his life and legacy does not get caught up into this part now, because it's been building to be something more than this gang thing that his life was kind of getting meshed in. He's known now as a poet, a rapper, an inspiration from the things that he created, and I hope that continues.
Yeah. Sebastian, your thoughts?
So basically, I'm very young, as everyone knows. I wasn't even a thought when all this happened. Oh
God, I cannot.
But justice is a real thing, and sometimes it does take a long time for justice to prevail, and sometimes people don't get justice. But in this case, he most likely will get justice. But I've read a whole bunch of things on this type of thing. I'm very well informed on this situation. And Puffy, start packing now if you want to ditch Puffy. Puffy, start the bags now. Start.
Come on, Sebastian.
Say it.
Okay. Anything else? You good, Sebastian?
I'm good.
All right, appreciate you. All right. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Listen, Keith ran out of money. And this was his last ditch effort to get some money. And he snitched on himself. Now, the local dummy is the local dummy. Puffy better start paying him now so he don't go in there and snitch on him for a plea deal.
Ooh. Snitched on himself, honey. Where they do that at? You done snitched on yourself. You big dummy. Interviews all confident. I don't know why you would think it's a joke anyway to be talking about somebody that you know is no longer here.
Because his nephew got punked by Tupac that same night in the lobby, and this was his way of trying to get a lick back plus get some money on the back end. Kiefer Davis been a joke ever since.
He's a gangbanger.
He's a weird one. We saw it back then. You weren't back there then. We were back there. He was weird back then.
A whole hot mess. Very messy. It's sad, but you know what? Justice for Tupac. And the one that they claim pulled the trigger, which is Keefe's, you know, nephew, or was his nephew. He actually was unalive 2 years later. 2 years later. And but when you
because he was always stealing, Diva. You can't steal from some gangsters and think you ain't gonna get your lick back. He had already stole Tupac chain in the studio.
Yeah. No, hot mess. Hot mess. That's all we gotta say. Whole hot mess. But listen, guys. Oh, okay. Thank you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel said it's time for Huntsville. Listen, guys. We did an express train. Sort of, kind of. Yeah. It's only like a 12 minutes over. I really do appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. The family as well. Okay. So y'all can put the message out. All is well with the family. Thank y'all for being here. If you didn't hit the like button coming in, hit the like button going out. I appreciate y'all. This was Trending Topics Saturday.
We going on strike.
That part. And it was some heavy topics, but you know, every now and then we gotta address these topics. I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.